name is Ronti Atuma. I work with TPW Concept as the creative director.
My name is Olumide Campbell. I work with HOD Communications.
My name is Tolu Onleri. I run a digital advertising agency called Playhouse Communication. It's based in Ikeja GRA.
My name is Anthony Eko. I'm also known as Tiger. I'm the creative director at SO News Section.
North Communications company is principally an ideas company. What we do is mainstream advertising, but it's primarily coming up with ideas to help clients build their brands, taking them from their current position to where they would desire them to be in the nearest future. Creating that, if I should use the term, covalent bond between the brand, as it were, and their target consumers.
TPW Concept is a full-service marketing communications company. Basically, we provide creative ideas for our clients.
HOD is a brand strategy advertising agency. So we do the whole gamut. So it's basically starting from strategy, which is understanding the business, understanding the environment, understanding the product, and then communicating it in such a way that it's relevant, it's engaging, and it builds communities.
The company focuses on digital, we're advertising agency in general, but we believe there's a growth and opportunity in the digital side of that. So whether it's internet or mobile.
We're into marketing communications, and we have been for over 20 years now.
Incidentally, we just started in February, and Noah's Ark will be 5 years this February. It actually started in late 2007, but was incorporated in 2008. Yes. Noah's Ark was conceived by Mr. Adisa, who left TWA Concept at the time to start off Noah's Ark. He took over an existing advertising agency called Additional Virgins at the time, and then changed the name, still held on to some personnel. Additional Virgins didn't have so much. It was almost a dying brand, if I should put it that way.
TPW Concept started sometime in 1984 by two fellows, Sake and Larry Aokoya. It started as concept unit. Now in 2000, we joined the TPW network, which allows us currently to compete on a more global scale.
It really actually started in England. The visionary, Uzo Okoye, lived abroad for quite a number of years, and when he began to think of HOD, for him it was more of, because he's Nigerian, it was more of being different in a market that was already saturated with communication companies and advertising companies. So about 12, 13 years ago, he got the idea of a company that could be distinctively creative and also still have that, let me say, African flair. So he started out in Clerkenwell, which is like an advertising district in England, and did quite a bit of blue chip business. And in 2009, he decided that it was time to come home. So basically, with quite a number of friends on ground, discussions going back and forth, decided that he would set up the headquarters in Nigeria.
We're still relatively young as far as advertising agencies in Nigeria go. We've been up and running for about 16 months, which we set up in 2010. Sorry, no, 2011. My maths is bad. It's been interesting. It's been because digital is growing. If you look at the data from between 2000, when I think there were 200,000 people online, to now where Nigeria is the 11th country with the most people online in the world. So it is still growing, and we're still only at 28% penetration.
The business was founded in 1990 by three entrepreneurs, Sage, Oku, and Ufot.
Well, creativity industry, when you're talking about creativity, it's a concept that you can, to a large extent, put a value to. Reason being, there are so many parameters to bringing up a creative idea to life. You have the involvement of the agencies, you have the involvement of the clients, you also have the involvement of your partners with regards your pre-production team, your audio video production team. But by and by, I think Nigeria has grown a lot with regards to that aspect. We have a lot of great creative minds in Nigeria.
What I think about creativity in Nigeria currently is it's evolving. If I make reference to the music industry, for instance, we've seen a whole deluge of different music genres that have passed over the history of Nigeria. But now what you're seeing is music is connecting more and more to ourselves, to our culture. We are developing our own style. Now creativity in our own industry in Nigeria is also going through that transition.
Creativity, it's the same everywhere. It's just that we kind of like want to say that it's adding a bit of the culture and of the nuances of the country that we live in into the creative mix. So, because you have to speak in the style and language of your audiences, and so what we try and do is ensure that we create communication that not only engages, but it's also real, it's also relevant, it's also down to earth.
Honestly, I don't think we're as good as we should be. I don't think as good as we can be. I think that it's still in development. I think considering our position, so we say in Africa, that we like to tout, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever won a Cannes Lion. That's the Oscars for advertising, and I think that's something to look at.
I think that creativity in advertising has come a long way. I think that there's been some great work done over the years. Is there room for improvement? Definitely. A lot of room for improvement, particularly since there's no such thing as the Nigerian standard anymore. It's not a one global standard. But I'm optimistic that over the next couple of years, there'll be huge developments in terms of level of creativity in Nigeria.
Sourcing for talent is a big issue currently. For the young talents, getting to interview them, we say to ourselves, what are the potentials and bringing them on board. We get to train them. They get to take on life briefs, and we see how well they perform, and we groom them to the kind of creative animals that we want. But for talents who've spent some time in the industry, I think that's where the bigger challenge is, because present situation for me is now trying to get somebody in client service, and it's really difficult because you have people who have jumped from one place to the other, and for the brief period that they've stayed in a particular agency, they don't learn so much, right? So it's a bit of a challenge because everybody wants to get the job done. Not very many agencies are spending time to train their staff, and also the staff themselves. Not very many of them are looking at improving themselves, because there are quite a lot of workshops, there are courses that they can take online, there are books that they can read, but everybody is a bit lazy to do what they're supposed to do.
Sourcing for talent in the advertising industry has been quite a challenge, because the grooming of talent is something that we haven't quite taken on fully in Nigeria. So currently, what agencies do and what we do ourselves is, first we started what you call the kindergarten program. I think sometime in 2005 or 2006. What we do is take young, potentially talented creatives from school and take them through a 6-month intensive program, which at the end of the day, we could potentially pick one or two for ourselves.
Talent is hard to find. We have quite a lot of people in the industry that have not developed themselves, and so a lot of times will depend on referrals and people that we have seen grow in the industry over years, and then sometimes we just headhunt directly and say, look, do you want to work with us? But yeah, there are a lot of people in the industry that still need to build themselves, and so you discover that you have to train on job and try and build the skills and the required capacities that you want them to display on the job.
Talent, I think that's one of the positives that we have going here. I think we have got talent. I think the challenge is to nurture it. So, from a digital point of view, talent sourcing is difficult because digital is still growing. It's still sort of very new with regards to the I call it marketing communication. So what we have to do is find people who have an aptitude for digital. That's the basic thing, is to find people who really are interested in it. So a lot of it is finding friends of friends. So people who have studied maybe computer science or graphic arts in university and as such are currently working in advertising, or are outside the industry but have an interest in it. And then it's about trying to train them up to be able to do what we need them to do. So it's to make sure they deliver properly, and when we say on time, when we give timings, we deliver on time.
I'm aware that there's a cluster of advertising agencies, especially within the UK region. And the reason for most of these agencies and most of these businesses is because to some degree it just seems very central. Central with regards your clients, easy access to your clients, easy access to partners in the business like your photographers, your printers, generally your vendors that can help you bring your ideas to life. Also because I won't say rent is an issue because it's expensive, in some locations in the Kenya, right? But because by the time you factor on the parameters to getting your business done, you also need to factor on transportation to all these locations, and there's a lot of traffic around Lagos, and you don't want to be in a scenario where you spend more on fuel or basically getting jobs to clients or access to vendors to get the jobs done.
I am aware that there are clusters, informal clusters, yes, within our industry. I mean, in terms of geographical location. I think my own opinion on why agencies have chosen Ikeja as a location to do business would be, one, on the mainland, it seems like one of the most prestigious locations to have this kind of business. Then two, it's also central to the mainland. Ikeja to me has always been a central spot on the mainland. So in terms of accessibility from the island where we have a lot of our clients, it is easy to reach Ikeja GRA.
Well, we're still relatively a young industry, and so traditionally a lot of the agencies were coming up from the same environments, Beju, and I think they've been graduating from Beju to Ikeja, GRA, and stuff like that. So yeah, there's been clusters. Everybody kind of like knows everybody, so that might inform why there are clusters, and also because again, you want to be in the business districts, you want to be where your clients are. So that also informs your decisions, because companies that are not in the region or are not in GRA or are not around this environment will typically be close to their main clients. So
Not one particular, or my things. I think it's a combination of it. I think it has existed. So people, you know, they followed each other. But I also think that the environment, I think if you go towards what people call the island, I think that's become much more built up. So it's much more expensive, and for you get less for your buck. I think the GRA offers you space and you know, room for creatives and room for creativity.
So yes, definitely there is a hub, a creative hub here, and there are a number of reasons why. I guess I think if you go back a couple of years, this is a theory of mine. Starting with the LINTAS, and other agencies that sprung up around that time inside the world of the mainland. And I think as creative people moved out from those agencies, they set up there, it was only natural that they set up in communities that they were familiar with. And so the community grew, but it grew in the same area, which is largely Keja and the areas around it. 50 years from now, there might be another hub in the island, but at the moment, it's all mainland.
There are different templates for different agencies, especially when agencies have certain affiliations, right? But it's basically the same process. You meet with clients, you understand their brands, you collect a brief from them that will explain to you who I am as a client or a brand, what my marketing objectives are, what the challenges are for me to get to the kind of destination that I want to go for as a brand. It's not, as an agency, you come back to the office with that information, you distill it. In most cases, you have your account planner who most likely will do some deep stick survey to try and get more information about that particular brand, so that it helps you with the kind of idea you come up with. Now, what basically happens, I'm working now with a major brief. What basically happens is, with that information, your account planner will come up with a creative brief to start up your brainstorming session. The brainstorming session is a collection of different minds. It doesn't necessarily have to be the team working on that brief. It can be anybody. The idea is to come up with as many insights as possible, both from the team working on it and other personnel that may not be working on it. After that, you come up with an idea, a campaign idea that would be the basis of the creative you present to the client.
The other suppliers we work with that help us come up with our finished products, let me put it that way, would be people like photographers. We also have TV production houses. You have your radio and audio production studios. Print production also is also a key part of our business. The fashion industry, the makeup artists, modeling agencies also would fall into that category.
Collaboration, yeah, because you understand that advertising is a part of our business, is a part of the business environment in general. So what typically happens is that it typically brief will take you into production, TV production, radio production. It will also take you to consumer engagement, where you're having to interact with PR companies, activation companies, experiential companies. There's a lot of also below the line production where you talk about like going to printers, doing POSM, so there's fabrication companies involved. I think we kind of like work with almost everybody. Even sometimes the government is involved because you need to get permits, you need to get regulatory. Sometimes you do activations, you need the police and last mile around you. So we kind of like a part of the entire social chain.
We collaborate with all the other sort of industry, the traditional industries that advertising agencies collaborate with. So TV production, radio, print, all of that. Print less, because obviously what we do is digital, but TV and radio is moving digital. So a lot of the creativity and ideas we do are still, visual or what do you call, or well, visuals. So we still need to collaborate with all of the sort of traditional businesses as well.
It depends on the project. We collaborate with different people. Singers, producers, broadcasters, gamers. I think each project requires a different set of skills, and so that defines who we collaborate with.
Yes, electricity is one of the challenges that we face, but as an advertising business, there are other things that also affect how successful the business is, and also how well you run the business. One, you have electricity, which will affect your running cost, because you have to buy a standby generator. And getting a generator that can power your business, especially if you have if you're an SME, right? It costs some money. And even maintaining the generator, you're getting engineers to fix them or maintain them, getting diesel, it's pretty expensive. Aside all that, is you have advertising is a business, depending on the kind of production quality you want. It's a business that requires a lot of fun.
Challenges facing the advertising industry currently would be dwindling budgets from clients, the global recession, one way or the other. We don't like to admit it, but one way or the other has affected Nigeria and affected Nigerian clients. So inadvertently, it has affected the agencies. There's also a lack of talent, which I had mentioned earlier. We haven't quite started grooming talent properly. So I could also mention a lack of properly experienced and groomed brand managers on the part of the clients.
Challenges, there's a few. I think there's the traditional challenges of being a small business, and I think that's the same that I would face if I was starting a shoe shop. A small business starting out. That's the challenge, and it's the resources, as in the financial resources and the backup for that.
I think finding talent is a major challenge that we face. I think that a number of human resource agencies don't quite speak our language. So we still resort to informal ways of tracking down talent, which is not particularly efficient. I think internet is another challenge we face. The bandwidth isn't adequate, and often there are challenges which sometimes take a while to resolve. That's expensive. Then I think that there are basic issues like power, access to necessary support. There are a number of things sometimes that we have where it would be so much easier if you could reach out to the industry that was around you or for support. But a lot of the time you find that even when you're talking to somebody, he's talking to somebody who's probably offshore. That sometimes slows things down, sometimes drives up the cost. But I think if I were to talk about the major issues, it would be sourcing talent and adequate bandwidth.
In most cases, depending on your relationship, you would have to do a prepayment of 60 to 70 or 80 as the case may be. And your clients in some cases will not prepay. That's where you need to support your banks.
Yeah, the kind of support we would need as we will need in our industry would come for me first and foremost from various suppliers, your photographers, your TV and radio production people. These are the people that help us create that finished product, that magic that is finally exposed to the public.
There needs to be more regulation in the area of who can operate and how we operate. But there also needs to be more understanding on the side of the government. I spoke about the Lagos State example in the outdoor. With the taxes and the rentals that we pay for use of outdoor, sometimes it limits the amount of business you can do.
From the educational institutions, so they've got to we've got to up our game with the level of people we're outputting. That's where we think. I think it's got to be a two-way thing. I think right now we still produce people who are book intelligent without being practical intelligent. So I think the support of working with these institutions to deliver people that actually understand the industry and understand the practicalities and